You're probably familiar with the idea of homeownership being the American dream. While getting a mortgage can be a great financial move, there's no guarantee that you'll always come out ahead financially. Renting can also be a smart way to build wealth, depending on your situation and financial goals. If you've been thinking about becoming a homeowner or wondering whether renting versus buying will make you richer, keep watching. Hi, I'm Laura Adams, an award-winning personal finance author and podcast host with over 40 million downloads. For over a decade, I've helped millions of readers and listeners understand how to manage money and build wealth. I always say that financial freedom starts with financial literacy. So our goal is to offer tips and advice you can put into action to create more security and happiness in your financial life. In this video, you'll learn how to use the 5% rule to work out whether buying or renting is the best option for you, plus the main pros for each option. Let's get started. If you want a rule of thumb to help crunch the numbers of renting versus buying, try out the 5% rule. The idea is that you should expect to spend about 5% of the value of a home per year in 3 categories: property taxes, maintenance, and the cost of capital. It's 1%, 1%, and cost of capital is 3%. So before we break it down, just note that the cost of capital gets a little technical, but it's the cost of your mortgage debt plus the opportunity cost of using your down payment for a home instead of investing it in the stock market. So let's break down how it works using a $400,000 home. Property taxes might be 1% of the value, so that's $4,000 a year. Maintenance, again, that's 1% or another $4,000. And the cost of capital at 3% would be $12,000. Adding it up equals 5% or $20,000. Divide that by 12 and monthly, that comes out to $1,666, which is the break-even point for renting. In other words, if you could rent that house for $1,666 or less, you'd be better off renting it. But if the rent would be higher, buying it might be a better money move. It's worth pointing out that the break-even point depends on how much you put down, such as 5 or 20%, and the interest rate you're offered. In other words, the 5% rule is more of a rough guideline. When it comes to the renting versus buying question, there are many factors to consider, including your income, credit, family size, desired lifestyle, future need to relocate, and where you want to live. First, let's cover 5 main advantages of renting, and the first is location flexibility. If you need to relocate, it's certainly easier to do as a tenant than an owner. Leases are short-term and mortgages are long-term commitments. If you're a homeowner and want to pull stakes, you're usually stuck until you sell the property or find a reliable tenant to help you pay the mortgage. The second pro of renting is paying less up front. Renters usually pay an upfront security deposit, which could be a month or 2 of rent. That's much less than having to fork over a down payment for a mortgage, which is typically anywhere from 5 to 20% of the home's purchase price. And the less you put down, the higher your mortgage payment will be. The third pro of renting is paying less per month in some areas. As I previously mentioned, where you plan to live is a big factor in whether renting versus buying a home may be better for your finances. If you live in a big city like New York or San Francisco, renting an apartment may be cheaper than buying one. This is a good example of when the 5% rule can really come in handy. The fourth pro of renting is insulation from certain market downturns. Recently, we've seen the real estate market start cooling off, and with rising mortgage rates and a persistent housing shortage taking a bite out of affordability, many potential home buyers are being kept on the sidelines. Renters can come out ahead during times of economic upheaval, such as when a real estate bubble pops or during recessions. While renters don't benefit from rising real estate prices, they're not hurt when the economy struggles and prices decline. So timing and location are everything in real estate. The fifth pro of renting we'll cover is getting amenities. Living in an apartment with an exercise room, pool, clubhouse, walking trails, rooftop lounge, clothes cleaning delivery, 24/7 concierge, theater, or other desirable built-in amenities could be less expensive than owning a comparable home or paying for those amenities separately. The extras you can get as a renter can significantly contribute to the lifestyle that you enjoy that wouldn't be available to you as a homeowner. Okay, now let's talk about the 5 main pros of buying a home. The first pro of being a homeowner is building equity. Equity is the difference between a property's market value and what you owe for it. For instance, if your home gets appraised for $400,000 and your mortgage balance is $350,000, you have $50,000 in equity. And with every payment toward your mortgage, the more equity you'll have. The benefit of having home equity is that you can tap it with a home equity loan, a home equity line of credit, or even a cash-out refinance. The second pro of homeownership is potential appreciation. If you buy a home for $400,000 and its market value increases to $475,000 over the next few years, you have $75,000 in additional equity. So owning a home allows you to grow richer from price appreciation, paying down your mortgage, or both. In contrast, paying rent is a pure out-of-pocket expense. Another pro of owning a home is paying less tax. To encourage home ownership, the government created tax breaks you may be eligible for if you itemize deductions on your tax return. They include the mortgage interest tax deduction, also points, property taxes, and private mortgage insurance. That's up to certain limits and income thresholds. Plus, you can deduct a certain amount of interest paid on a home equity loan or line of credit that you use to buy, build, or remodel your home. And if you install eco-friendly home improvements like solar panels, you may qualify for tax credits. In addition to those annual tax breaks, there's an even bigger deduction when you sell a home, which is the capital gains tax exclusion. And we'll include links in the description where you can learn much more about various home-related tax benefits. The fourth pro for buying a home is paying less per month in some areas. We're back to where the 5% rule can be useful, because where you plan to live makes a huge difference in whether renting or buying is better for your finances. Even with interest rates more than doubling in 2022, financing a home can be cheaper than renting despite all those additional costs I mentioned. Of course, that won't be the case in large cities, where home prices are notoriously high. But in smaller towns and cities, home ownership can be surprisingly affordable. And the fifth pro we'll review is hedging against inflation. An often overlooked benefit of financing a home with a fixed-rate mortgage is that it's a hedge against inflation. Your payment gets locked in for the term of your loan, such as 15 or 30 years, no matter what happens to interest rates or the economy. Rents may increase during periods of inflation, as we've seen happen recently, but a fixed-rate mortgage can't rise. That makes owning a home even more affordable when prices rise. So, should you rent or buy a home? Well, like many issues in personal finance, the answer is it depends. Your financial situation, goals, and desired lifestyle are unique. There's no right or wrong answer, nor is there a cut-and-dried way of comparing renting to the exact cost of owning a home. If renting saves money and reduces stress so you can accomplish your financial objectives, it may be the way to go. The key is investing the savings that you would have spent on a home. But if buying a home has more advantages and you're willing to put down some roots, like at least for several years, then owning an affordable home is a terrific goal. That's all for today, and thanks for watching. Let us know where you stand on the renting versus buying divide in the comments below. If you like this video, go ahead and click subscribe to get notified whenever we drop a new video. I'm Laura Adams, and I'll see you soon.